Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
I heard during quarantine you spent a lot of time watching How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah, I actually finished. I finished the whole thing during quarantine.
Now,
Um,
the finish is kind of some people like it, some people don't. Were you satisfied with how it ended?
I don't know, honestly. I've had like six of my friends ask me the same question. Like yes and no, because obviously the whole show you watch, like you want those two, Ted and Robin, to be together. Like it's like that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So like that part is like nice, but then the kids are like, "Why are you telling us the story?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that makes sense. Like you go through all this, and then the mom's not even here."
Yeah.
But nah, it was a good show. I'll probably watch it again pretty soon.
Yeah. I got to the point, to be honest, where it just seemed like it was repeating it, like just
No,
get to
for
the
sure.
point, and it was like too
Yeah,
much of just dancing around to then how it
yeah,
ended. I was just like, I kind of feel like I wasted a little bit of time. But the first couple seasons were incredible.
great show.
Great show. All right, guys, welcome back to another Footy and Coffee Conversations. I think we have an interesting story to hear today. So, just to get started, if you want to introduce yourself, what position you are, and what club you currently are playing for.
My name is Preston Kilwien. I play center back for New York Red Bulls 2 in the USL.
Very cool. Yeah, so we'll start. We'll just kind of talk a little bit about your youth career. I know you started playing organized soccer at the age of 4, so that's pretty young to be
Yeah.
uh, to be playing soccer. But talk a little bit about your youth career journey.
Um, yeah, it's actually really crazy. So growing up, we moved about I would say like four times. Um, so I started out in the Bay Area with Dienza when I think I was about 8 or 9, and I was playing up with like the age group older than me. Moved over to Seattle, joined Crossfire, played there for a few years. I think I won one or two state championships with them. Went to Snohomish United, um, and then actually moved back to California. And I wasn't playing soccer for about like 4 or 5 months. I was just like I took about a year off of soccer at that point, and
Just burnt out or what?
just burnt out. Didn't really like. I wasn't loving it anymore. Just sometimes you just get mentally tired, especially when you're like young and you're playing multiple sports, and like you gotta start having more fun playing another one, and then you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Um, so then moved back down to California, and my dad and I are just sitting at the high school, just like throwing a baseball one day, and we see this like guy coaching a kid individually, and go up and talk to him. He's like, "Oh, I just started a club. Um, we'd love for you to just to come out and see what it's about." It's like, all right. So I think I'm 15 at the time, 14, 15, and I joined the U18 team, just like right off the bat after not playing for a while.
Jeez.
And that's it. I mean, weren't the best. They weren't the best team, but it definitely like made me have fun again with soccer. And so after that, I switched over to Diablo FC for 2 years, um, and then went to the academy. Dienza. I actually went back to Dienza in academy when I was a junior in high school. So I ended up starting in Dienza and finishing in Dienza for my youth career. So
Came full
it was a
circle.
long, yeah, it was a long, it was a
Yeah.
long journey.
In high school, you were playing high school your first 3 years, was it?
Yeah,
And you were playing as a midfield and forward.
yeah.
What?
Just
How did they let a center back get up to forward?
honestly, I don't know. Just athletic. I think just I got a decent left foot, so I just trying to run by people, and high school's not the best, so
Right.
it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. Had some nice goals.
Hey, hey, it's always fun as a defender to get up there a little bit. Prove you can do what those strikers do.
100%.
So you grew up. You're on the West Coast, and then you decide to go cross country to Florida. Talk about how you decided where to go to university.
Obviously, recruiting process is like long and difficult, and there's a lot of school, a lot of things to factor in. So interestingly enough, FGCU is actually like my first ever college email. So like that morning, you can wake up on your junior year and you get an email. Like they were actually my first,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, and that was right after like all the Dunk City stuff, and I was like, wow, this school's sick. Like look at this. But just after that, it was just reaching out to coaches, doing a few camps, just tournaments, basically, just going to these different tournaments in California, and people being able to see me play. Um, but I think in the end, my top two were University of New Mexico and FGCU.
So
And
what led you to FGCU then?
yeah, so my process was just, if something does happen with me and I can't play soccer anymore, I think me personally, I would be happier in Florida. Um, because in the end of the day, you have to be happy where you are, and I just didn't feel like Albuquerque was the place for me. As where in Florida, it was, it's like it's an unreal place. Just the school and then the campus and just Florida in general is just a vibe. It's always calm, nice, warm weather.
Yeah, no, I actually live an hour south of there in Marco Island in the off
Oh,
season.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where I
nice.
spend my off season. So I get it. I
Oh,
get it. It's
no, it's
beautiful
nice.
there.
It's amazing.
Now, I don't know if I could have gone to university there. I feel like I would have been distracted by a lot of things if I was
Yeah.
living that close to the beach all the time and maybe wouldn't have focused so much on studies or on soccer. When you made the decision to go to FGCU, were you thinking at all professional soccer, or were you just thinking, I just want to go to college and play?
At first it was a little bit of both, because I think going in as a freshman, you obviously you have a dream and you want to do it, and you go in as a freshman, you're kind of like you're taken back a little bit. But I think going in, I think I was like, I want to be a pro. Like I decided my life's going to be soccer. Um, but I don't think I really like I didn't really know or like have a feeling that it was going to happen until about my junior year, and I was just like, okay, like now I'm playing really well, and I started getting like a good feeling, good confidence. But I definitely went in with the mindset like I want to be a pro. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So freshman year, I think a lot of people on the guests the freshman year. There's ups and downs. There's trying to earn a spot. I mean, you start out your first game and have an amazing first game experience in collegiate career against Princeton. Tell
yeah,
us about that game.
yeah. That was interesting. So my parents were actually in town, and my aunt was actually in town from California and Texas. It was first game. I think I didn't play against Georgetown, obviously bummer. But then you come over and we play against Princeton, and they're on I think a 10-game win streak at the time, which is I think tied for the NCAA record.
Hmm.
And I just remember being late in the game, and the ball comes out, and I take a touch, and honestly, I'll still say it to this day, I was just trying to hit to the back post anywhere. I didn't really care, and it just sort of just like floated in, and then everyone like it blew up like on social media, and like it was just like just so surreal to have like that be a debut, and then you're on number three on SportsCenter. I was like on Fox Soccer during Bundesliga game. Like it was a crazy like debut.
Yeah, I mean, maybe an unrealistic way
Oh,
to
for sure.
start to keep that train going for 4 years. But you're also like, oh, this college soccer is not so difficult then.
No, that was sick. Yeah, I was like, okay, this is nice. This is nice.
What was the rest of freshman year like? Because obviously being on ESPN Top Three, you're setting the bar high for yourself right off the bat.
Yeah, the rest of freshman year was obviously not as sick as that, but it was up and down for me. I think I played a pretty good amount as a freshman, compared to a lot of the other incoming guys, and it was still just frustrating not being like starter like like you always used to be and stuff like that. But yeah, freshman year was just a big up and down year for me. But I think overall it was a good experience. Got to learn, and I got to play with some really good players that are playing professionally now. So I think it helped me definitely build helped me progress as a player and like a person, kind of grow up a little more.
Absolutely. Yeah, were saying like junior year is when it really started to take off that maybe this professional thing isn't just a dream, but maybe can be a reality.
Hmm.
Which coincides with looking at kind of your stats over your junior and senior year. You become, center back. The whole thing is, can you become consistent? And
Hmm.
you both in minutes played, in goals allowed, that type of thing. You become very consistent of a player. What's kind of the turning point reason? What leads to that jump you make?
So I think for me, after my sophomore year, I played PDL with Tampa Bay Rowdies U23s, and we had a lot of good players in that team. But I think going to the USL trainings a few times and training with Joe Cole, Marcel Schaefer, um, some other big name guys in the USL, and really being able to actually play and not feel like I'm like letting everybody down, or that I'm that guy in training that's
The weak
like
link.
you're avoiding. Yeah, I don't want to pass him the ball, you know? And I think that kind of gave me a big boost of confidence that like wow, like that really is not far. So I think after that, like I came in with just the mindset that, like, okay, I'm gonna dominate. Like I need to dominate because I can do this. I can play here. And I think that just overall that experience in that summer like really changed my perspective of how I was as a player.
Got you. Yeah, you played a couple different places during summer. You were at South Florida Surf. You were at Seattle Sounders. You were with Tampa Bay.
Hmm.
What was kind of your experience playing in different teams, different locations? You're able to see a lot of different soccer throughout the U.S. at that time.
Yeah, for sure. I actually was able to go with one of my best friends every single PDL season. We went together. So we moved up from like the new club to the USL to like the MLS name, which was pretty sick. But being able to just play with different players from different schools and like really know that like maybe like a bigger like top tier school, like you really are kind of like even, you know, and it's just about kind of exposure for a lot of things. But then also seeing players that play D2, D3, and AAA, and you're like, yo, you're a baller. You know, I think that was my favorite part was just getting to play with new players, and really just being able to like just play football and not really worry about having to go to school, doing class. You know, you're staying in an apartment with your friends, and like you go to train, and then you get to just relax. So
Yeah,
especially down in Florida, like that was awesome because you know you just go to the
yeah,
beach right after.
yeah. That's sick. And I mean, as you said, like PDL allows you kind of a little window into what professional soccer is like
Hmm.
instead of worrying about academics and all of that. So uh, definitely, I remember some good times playing PDL. It's a great way
PDL
to
is awesome.
spend your summer.
No, for
Uh,
sure.
you guys have a lot of success at Florida Gulf Coast. You guys make it to, I think, was it 16 teams
Second
left on
round.
second round.
Second round.
And then you guys have your record is 38, 19, and 11 during your time. Obviously, a lot of success there. I believe you guys were at 0.88 goals per season given up, which as a center back,
Hmm.
I mean, that's probably the biggest stat of showing success, not just in you, but in the way that you lead and play as a team. So that's big time. Talk a little bit about the process. You graduate. What is the contract, the route to getting your contract look like?
Uh, it was actually very difficult for me personally. I had a really good senior year. I had a standout defensive year, and the draft list comes out like the day or two before the draft, and I'm not on it. And I'm like, I text my agent, I'm like, yo, like what's going on? Like, why am I not on it? Call my coach. So like, I wasn't even eligible to be drafted by anybody. So that was the most frustrating part for me. Um, but luckily, I had my agent Sean Higgins and Bobby Berlin working for me, and they got me hooked up down in Portland right after. I was actually still taking classes at the time, so I went over to Portland. I was there for 3 weeks, and you know, just kept getting the same answer. Gosh, we need to wait. We want the first team wants to kind of see you guys, and you know, like USL season preseason is a little bit later than MLS preseason, so they go on trips, they go tournaments, and you gotta like wait. Um, so I think for me, I was just kind of scared to like just stay and wait, and if it doesn't work out because they had also drafted a left center back, so if it doesn't work out, then you know now all these teams are gonna be full.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm on the phone with my agent, and I'm like he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to stay, if I want to try somewhere else. And then he comes back, he's like, actually, yeah, Red Bull wants to bring you in, and talk to my dad, talk to agent, and we were like, all right, like I think it's a good move. I think it's time for me to go. And I actually went down. So I went down to Tucson to play the Sun Cup with Red Bull 2 because the first team left for CONCACAF Champions League. And I played a game against FC Tucson Phoenix Rising Mix on like 2 days after I had arrived. But so Portland was actually there as well. So they watched me.
You're like, hey,
So I got
remember me?
yeah. So they actually watched me, and I actually ended up getting a contract offer from them as well, um, which is awesome to go from no draft list to having two offers and getting to that kind of leverage, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um, but just that whole like waiting period in Portland was just like very stressful. And that's when, you know, mind games start coming in, and like you're like, wow, like I'm this close, but I'm not, you know. Um, so I think like just it was just like a long process, honestly, and just being able to like be in both places, be back in Jersey, be in Portland, and kind of see the route that people have going to the first team. I think for me, Red Bulls just made more sense because they have just so much history of pulling players up to the first team and doing really well in their careers. So I think as a player, I think that's like probably your main goal, obviously, is to get to the
Hmm.
highest level possible. So I think this was a better route, and yeah, it was just it was long.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the mental aspect of that waiting game in Portland. You know, because as you said, you're so close. You're training with a professional team. You're on the front door knocking to get a contract, but at the same time, it can be taken away, and no other teams will
Hmm.
come calling and offer you that. So it's physically, yes, preseason's grinding in those situations, but I think mentally, it's so difficult when you are a rookie and don't have professional
Hmm.
experience.
No, definitely. And it's kind of, I mean, it's not nice necessarily, but you have a big group of players with you that a lot of them are in the same boat. So you kind of keep each other like a little bit grounded, but you're also kind of like, I need to beat you out, you know? But mentally, it's just really just staying, you gotta just be like confident with yourself and how you play. Can't really necessarily worry about how other people are going to perceive you at the time or anything, or really like going doing stuff just to impress coaches. Just you guys got to play your game. And I think like mentally, that was my thing, was just like just keep playing, just keep playing. Stop worrying about whatever happens. Whatever happens, happens. Like you're this close, like you said. I think it's everyone's dream, and I was fortunate enough to even get a trial, and I think that was my mentality. It was like I'm fortunate to be here, and just yeah, just stay confident and stay doing what you can do.
What's it like when New York finally offers the contract and then you put pen to paper? What's that feeling?
Oh, that was like a dream come true. That was really a dream come true. It's just all the work that you put in for 20 years, 21 years, you know, like all that work really like finally paid off, and you finally got your first deal, and it's just like a big weight off your shoulder. You just feel like you made yourself proud, you made your family proud, like coaches, like all your teammates that you have played with. Um, yeah, it's just proud, like just a proud feeling.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit. So you sign your contract. You're with New York Red Bulls too, and then kind of in reality, like the hard work starts. Now you got all right.
Oh
You have a contract, but now you got to earn a spot on the team. You got to keep your spot on the team, or else you can get cut. Talk a
yeah.
little bit about those first couple months as being a professional. What's that like?
It's different, definitely. It's a lot longer than the college season is. Like a lot longer. You never really realize until you get in there. You're like, oh my gosh, like we still have another 4 months. Like I'm exhausted. But I think for me, like Red Bull is just a very like defensive. Like it's defensive, but it's attacking at the same time. I don't know if you know like the Red Bull system and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We
Just
had
very.
Patrick Segrist on a couple
Oh
weeks
my
ago, so
God, my guy Patty. Yeah, so
he
he
was
you
talking.
definitely know it. Yeah, so that was my main thing, was really just trying to learn how to play center back here so that I could be effective. Because I think at school it was more like not necessarily relaxed, but we could just play, possess, you know, it's hot. So you don't really necessarily want to run for 90 minutes like sprinting around, but I think learning the system and like learning how to play the system was my biggest key in my first like month or two. And then just being able to be fit to play that system was like a shock to me. Um, Being down in Portland, I mean, it's not, we were just playing, you know, like it wasn't really like crazy. We were just playing soccer, playing football, and come to Red Bull, and then they're screaming at me my first day, and I'm like what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? And then they got like one of my buddies, Jordan Scarlett's at Tampa now. He comes up and he's like, yo, like this, I need you to do this, this, and this. I was like, okay, like thank you, because nobody had told me that. So I think just learning the system in the first few months was just key.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a big step. Especially I think a position like center back. That's a position of leadership. So when you come in as a young guy, it's hard because you sometimes don't feel ready to lead, but the position
Hmm.
calls for leadership. Was that difficult to be vocal when you're trying to figure things out, but your position dictates that you have to be vocal?
Yeah, it was very, very, very difficult for me. Like just not really knowing what I was doing yet, and then being screamed at, I was just like, oh my God, like I was just like stuck, and I couldn't like I wasn't saying anything. I was just like trying to just focus on what I was doing as like a Red Bull center back that I hadn't really known what it was yet. But I think after the first game, it was just like, all right, now I need to start screaming at people. Like I said, you can't really worry about what other people are thinking of you at the time. You just gotta fight for yourself, get your deal.
Hmm.
But it was definitely difficult to like try to learn and try to talk and be that leader at the same time when you don't really know too much about what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a lot of success though. I believe you got the most time of any rookie. You had 24 appearances and 14 starts. So obviously a good, solid rookie season. A lot of rookies don't get that type of playing time.
hmm
What do you think was the growth that you had during that first season?
I think just coming in and really just having the confidence. Once you get your first game under your belt, the first start under your belt, it's just kind of like it's a big weight off your back, off your shoulders, because you're like, oh, okay, the first one's out of the way. The first one is really the hardest one to get. So yeah, I think it's just really growing into confidence in how to play, and knowing I can play in this league, and being able, being in training and training with the MLS team and have people come down and levels, right there, you're right there. I think just growing into confidence was like through the year, I just went this, and I think that was key for me.
During this off season, you finish your first year, you have success, but obviously, as you said, like the goal is to make it to the top teams, the top leagues. What was kind of your biggest things that you were like, this is what I need to improve on to get to the next level?
I think mine was just more consistency in the Red Bull system. Um, Really taking things personally, defensively, being a little more physical. But I think really taking it more personally and like being the asshole defender. Like you need to do it. And so like I think that was my biggest takeaway. Just like I need to be more solid and just be more consistent overall.
So how do you practice that during the off season? How do you improve on that?
It's just certain drills that are just tied to the Rebel system. Like you can do some technical stuff, but then as soon as you do it, as soon as you pass the ball off, then you got to just find the mannequin around you, find a cone, sprint to it, and like get on it. Really practicing, like we call it rest defense.
Mhm.
Um, so really just like knowing where you are and where like your forward is at the time, where your other center back is, and just kind of like scanning and just imagining people around you. Um, just yeah, that was just my thing, was just technical and then get to defense. Even though there might not be someone to defend, but like just get to it and be set, be ready, and it'll come once you get back on the field. It'll be like, okay, like this is easier now.
Yeah, that muscle memory. Yeah, I always compare. I say the biggest thing closest to soccer is chess. And people are like, no way, like that one's an active sport, one's sitting at a desk. But I think, you attack while you defend while you
hmm
attack. And part of that is, especially for a center back, you're playing passes. You're obviously trying as much as you can. Can we get a center back to play penetrating passes? But then can you immediately put yourself in a position that if the ball's lost, are you in the right position to be there
Yeah,
defensively?
exactly.
Which
hmm
which again, as you said, like consistency for a position like center back, that's the biggest thing, right? Because
Yeah, exactly.
90% of what you do, every center back does. It's just, can you do
hmm
it at the highest level of proficiency? And that's going to give you the opportunity to get chances to play higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
Going in now, it's obviously it's been a weird year with preseason and
Just
everything
a little,
like that.
just a little.
Maybe a good thing. I was thinking how mentally just strange it must be for rookies. They're trying to
hmm
just figure out what first year professional means, and then all of this on top of it. At least you have 1 year of experience, so maybe you feel a little bit more settled in it.
hmm
But how hard was it to be without soccer? Did it bring any like realization? Because for the past couple of years, it's like you're always playing, training. Now it's taken away. Did it kind of reignite maybe a new fire to be back out on the field?
No, definitely, definitely. We as a house, we're sitting here and we're just like antsy, shaking. Like, what are we doing? We're just going and running a couple miles on the road. Like, we need to play. And I think being able to like really think about it and like really kind of analyze your game. Is it gives you time to watch video, watch old games, and obviously that fuels your fire as well. So yeah, I think it just like it definitely gave me more hunger to be back, and really like I don't know the word how to describe it, but just like really like love being back there. Because sometimes you're tired and you're like, oh, we got training, let's go. Um, but I think I really just wanted it, like it definitely brought back hunger for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the biggest thing of the actual like game moment that you miss the most that you can't wait? Is it cracking a tackle? Is it heading ball? What aspect do you miss the most?
Yeah, probably just hitting somebody, honestly. Whether it's like going with the ball or just with the upper body, I think just hitting somebody. I think I missed that.
I'm trying to start a movement that every team, when they get back to their first team training, that they film their first session of rondo, because I think it'll be
Oh
hilarious
yeah.
just how bad touches are in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll talk to my guy, see if we can do it.
See if you can get it going. Now you made a controversial decision, in my opinion. You had the flow, you had the man bun. You decided to cut it. As a guy who has a man bun, I'm shocked. One could say shooketh. What was that? What was the decision making behind that?
Oh, well, first, my hair was just crazy. It was way too long for me. But I think for me, like in Florida, and you're playing, you get sweaty all the time, so it's like very greasy, and it makes you look a little bit dirty if you like. You don't want to wash it every day, obviously, you know that, and
Hmm.
it makes you look a bit dirty if you don't wash it every day in Florida. And I think it was just like time. I just need to get rid of it. And my girlfriend was the happiest person. She was so happy when I got it cut. And I
So
have it now, and she's like, "Oh, it's okay. Like I like it." But I just had to get rid of it.
no regrets with it.
No, I would say no.
So now you move, you're playing in New York. You're used to playing, obviously, you played some in Washington, but then you had played in California, you played in Florida, which Florida is just like a swamp of heat to play games
Hmm.
in. Was it challenging to then play in like preseason cold games up in New York?
100%. Yeah, we came, and I think we got back from Arizona. We were supposed to have a training session, and I think we had 3 days off from a snowstorm. And I was sitting with one of my roommates, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, you want me to go play in the snow? Like, I don't know if I can do it. It was just like, that was a shock going out and you're just like actually freezing. Like, I have tights on, shorts on, pants on, then I have an Under Armour, like my training shirt, a jacket, and another jacket over, and I'm still freezing. And like, that was the worst. Getting used to it was terrible. And
Yeah,
not realizing the summers are so hot here was also a crazy shock to me because I had no idea.
it's like both extremes, nothing in
No, for
between.
sure. It was
Uh, we
so
had
extreme.
we had a player from Australia on my team last year, and we have one of our first games. It's snowing out, and so he's from Australia. He's like never seen snow before. He saw it once, but like just a dusting of it, whatever. We come in at halftime of the game, and he takes his boots off, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Dude, my toe fell off. Like I guarantee my toe is not connected to my foot." He was that convinced because he had never experienced like that type of cold in his feet trying to play
Yeah,
soccer before.
it's so different.
I
It's
think,
so different.
and I think that's what's interesting about like playing in the US is the areas that you play are so different. And so one day you
Hmm.
can be, northeast in New York playing a game that's pretty cold. Next game you're down in Florida playing a game and it's crazy
Hmm.
hot. And the adjustment for your body to then play 90 minutes in all those different conditions is difficult at first, I think, to get used to.
Yeah, and you don't even have a training session down there either. Usually, you just kind of fly. You
Yeah.
train, you fly, and you wake up the next day, you get ready, you play. There's
Jeez.
no real adjustment period.
Yeah, yeah, learn on the fly, I guess. Um, you're young in your career of a professional. Hopefully you have a lot of years left to play. Um, and so this question is more maybe if you had more years, but how do you find the best ways to improve on your play from where you're at? Do you asking coaches? Is it watching film yourself? How have you found the best ways to look at your weaknesses?
I think it's really talking to coaches and watching film. Maybe not necessarily watching it with the coaches, but watching that film and really analyzing and like, why did I get beat here? Or like, what could I have done better to not let this guy run off my shoulder? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think video, and also just trying to learn from the first team guys, watching, Aaron Long, Tim Parker, Amro, um, like even Sean Nealis, just really watching them and seeing how they do what they do and why they do it and like how it works. So I think watching them and trying to like imitate them, and because that's where I want to be, So
Mm-hmm.
I think watching them and kind of watching myself and like just comparing the two, um, that for me was just that's like how I was working on it last year and this year.
Absolutely. Uh, what advice would you give yourself going back, 15-year-old you? You're just getting back into soccer after taking a little bit of a break. Now you're second year professional playing for a big club. What advice would you give yourself at that point?
So I have two pieces of advice. One of them is school. Pay attention in school. Actually take it seriously, which I don't think they emphasize enough. I mean, they probably do now, but back a couple years ago, they weren't really emphasizing that too much.
I'll tell you what, before you go on with that is probably one of the things that 90% of people that have been on the podcast have said is
Really? Yeah, that makes
something about
sense.
taking school more serious. They all, no matter what, are like, I probably should have taken it more serious.
No, I definitely regret not taking it more serious, but at the same time, it's a path in life, and it worked out for me. So, but yeah, taking school more serious, that'd be one of them. The other one is just really, you have to love what you're doing. If you're not loving it, if you're not having fun, there's no point. That you have to love playing, you have to love training, you have to love fighting with your teammates, you have to love smiling and hugging with your teammates. It's just really loving what you're doing.
Hmm. Absolutely. You had a knee injury in college. How difficult was that to rehab? How mentally, what was that like to go through that process?
Um, Mine luckily wasn't too bad. It was just a removing of a piece of cartilage in my knee. And it happened to be in the end of spring season. So it was kind of it's getting hot outside, getting surgery. I don't have to pray. I'm not training.
Blessing in
Um,
disguise.
yeah, so I got my surgery, and you know they're like, "Oh, you can walk the same day." I'm like, "Oh, all right, I'm walking the same day." And I get back to my apartment with my dad. My dad flew out to Florida, and I actually was just like walking perfect. And I think that part for me was like, it's not so bad, honestly. Like, not so bad. And then luckily, when I actually went to Seattle about 20 days later, maybe if 20 days, for the PDL season, and I got to work with Mike Jennings and their like PT staff over there, and I got to go to the Starfire Center and do my PT there. So that was massive for me in coming back, because I'm rehabbing with, Jordan Morris is right there, or like some of the women's players are there and stuff. And just like, it wasn't really too bad for me because it wasn't such a long injury. It was more of like a 5-week process. Um, but it was definitely hard not to like play. And like, obviously you get to a PDL team, and I'm from Florida, I'm up in Seattle. Like, I want to impress, I want to do my thing, and having to wait those weeks was difficult. That was probably the hardest part. But luckily, it wasn't too bad of a surgery. It wasn't too serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's interesting. It doesn't matter if you're out a week or a year. There's still some struggle when you're like going to the facility to rehab while the rest of the boys are going to train. It's
Hmm.
never easy. It always makes you kind of more builds a fire to get back on the field.
Yeah.
And it's a different grind, I think, for a lot of athletes too, because it's one thing to work hard in the field. It's another to work hard doing rehab and things that it's not the
To
same
get back onto the
excitement.
field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm glad you're healthy. You learned. I mean, that's all you can ask for from it, and
Hmm.
luckily it wasn't too serious of a thing to keep you out for long.
Hmm.
Um, during your career, obviously, you're talking about you have to love the game, um, but obviously at times it's hard to always love it every day. There's ups and downs. There's some days where you don't want to be at training, and that's just the reality. You don't feel like working. So what's kind of at the heart of it, what's your why that why do you play soccer?
I think I play, it just makes me happy. I was blessed with an ability that not a lot of people have. I'm doing something that a lot of people wish they really could do. So I think for me, like, why I do it is just happiness, have fun, make myself, my family, everybody proud. So I think for me, like, that's like my why.
That's a good why. I mean, yeah, I always say people like if you're a pro soccer player, you're doing what people pay to do after work for fun. So, and you get paid for it, so it's not a bad gig.
Yeah, definitely not a bad gig at all. It's
Even on the
blessed.
worst of days, it's not a bad gig.
You could be stuck. You could be sitting in an office for 9 hours and have some back problems.
100%. If you weren't playing, what would you be doing?
Honestly, I have no idea. I really don't know. Maybe I try my thing at this e-gaming, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really have no idea.
But you played some the e-game for your club against some other clubs. What was that like being a professional gamer for a short time?
So my first game, I'm like, all right, I heard it was just players, whatever. I wake up the day of the game, and our social media guy texts me. He's like, by the way, I don't think I took it as seriously as I thought it was, or whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I think you're playing some pro gamers. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And so I come in my first game. Oh my gosh. I think it was in total, we played 2 games, and the score was like 25-1 for Rocket League. And I'm like I'm talking in my headset and then like on the stream, and I'm just like, why am I playing this game? What am I doing? It was funny. It was a funny experience for sure. But
yeah, they probably should have warned you a little bit more with that.
Just a little bit.
So no professional gaming in the future?
I don't think so. Maybe not Rocket League at least. I think I need to start trying my hand in different games.
Are you like a Warzone player? I know a lot of athletes are playing Warzone during this break.
I wasn't until about 2 weeks ago, like the end of our quarantine start before training. I started playing again, and I was like, all right, yeah, I'm playing this now. I was a big Fortnite guy.
But you didn't do it during the whole quarantine? You waited till you
I don't know why. I was just waiting.
Oh man, I even started playing Warzone. I bought an Xbox during quarantine because I was like, I need something to do. So I bought an Xbox and started playing, and that's my first system I bought in probably 6 years.
Oh, it's amazing though. Warzone is awesome.
Incredible,
crazy concept.
Incredible,
crazy
yeah.
Concept.
It's so fun. So 5 years from now, you're playing soccer still. What have you hoped to achieve by that point?
MLS contract for sure. Maybe even a look for a national team, either Costa Rica or US. Maybe not a cap or anything, but just a look, just at least be on a radar. But definitely to be an MLS player and like a starter.
Yeah, talk about growing up as a dual citizen.
So I got my dual citizenship when I think I was actually 18. I finally was able to get it, and I was like, all right, this is sick. This is awesome. Maybe I can get potential somewhere, and then didn't really work out. So, like it hasn't at least yet. But it's pretty awesome having my mommy from Costa Rica and my dad's from Texas, and just having those two like sides of the family, and just so different, just like very, very different. Like being a dual citizen is awesome. It gives you a little more flexibility in certain aspects.
Yeah, and it opens up, 2 doors for national team calls, which is pretty cool. So your hope MLS contract, obviously you keep performing well. New York's known for giving guys chances. So hopefully it's there. Maybe it's somewhere else. But if you keep growing, you give yourself that chance. What's the biggest thing that you think your game needs to make it to that next step? Or is it not? And is it, I just need, a chance at that level to prove myself?
I think I definitely need to be more consistent, like I was saying earlier. But I do think that obviously everyone thinks this, but if I got a chance, I think I would do well. I think I could be playing there. I think I could do my thing, but I think just being more consistent, and especially in Red Bull, is how I'm defending here. So being more consistent as a Red Bull player, I think that's what like I see.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're done playing. Any interest in coaching when you're done playing? Not obviously you're not done right now.
Thinking about it, yeah, definitely think I want to stay in the game somehow. So I think for me that would probably be the best avenue, maybe a club coach, wherever.
Yeah, I mean, center backs, you do a lot of communicating, you see the field, you do a lot of thinking. So I feel like it might pair nicely with some coaching down the road.
And I have some different experience, forward a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
I was left back, so I think I kind of know a decent amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'd definitely like to stay in the soccer world.
All right, I like that. That sounds fun. Yeah, so you played different positions. Do you think playing forward has helped you as a center back? You understand maybe more insight into the movements and decision making of the guy you're defending.
I think a little bit, but I think now it's just you're at the level where everybody you're playing was that guy. You know what I mean? So now everybody is just like very good. So I think yes and no, because now at the same time, like he could doing that, but then all of a sudden he's gonna pull a move and he's gonna go the other way, or it's just very different right now for me, especially because playing forward in high school compared to center back in college and pro is just like I think I know what he's doing, but.
Are you trying to say your high school isn't to the same caliber as USL Championship strikers? What team are you most looking forward to playing this season?
Probably. Well, we already played Tampa, but probably Tampa or Miami. Got a lot of friends, and my girlfriend's down in Miami, so I think playing in front of them for the first time professionally would be pretty sweet. But Tampa definitely, just because I got some Rowdy's history there and have like a few friends on the team.
Any particular striker that you last year or this year that you really it was like a cool moment to get to defend against them?
Juan Tejada, actually. So that was my moment for playing against Tampa, because we had not really known each other, but he went to Eckerd down in Florida, and we used to play them in preseason or spring season, and then played them in PDL both times, and it's just kind of like that respect because we saw each other so much, and so I think that was pretty cool. It's just like, like we made it, like we've seen each other for 4 years now, and now we're playing each other on the level that we wanted to be at. I think that was pretty surreal too, because I can still talk to him about it and just be like, I remember you when you had no hair, and now he's got the big fro. But I think
you used to have hair, now
I used to have it, exactly. So yeah, I think that was probably one of the cooler things, just because I had seen him and he had seen me kind of grow without really knowing each other.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, growing up together. Final question I want to get from you. You talked on a little bit, talking about university and your decision making on how you decided where to go. But talking to younger players, we have high school players listening in. What to you is kind of the top couple things to consider when looking at what college to choose?
First, you got to I think for me personally, it was make sure that the school is like a nice school that you like. If you're going to a school that you're only going for athletics, and some people do that, that's fine. I'm not knocking it, but really like loving the campus and enjoying like. So I took my visit to FGCU, and the moment I stepped on campus, I was like, wow, like this is sick. It was a pretty small school still, but like I was like, wow, this is sick. So I think like just liking the area is huge. I think having your parents' input is also big. So I think for me, my parents also agreed that if I got hurt, Florida was definitely a better option for me. But I think like, it was obviously hard being away from family, but having them support your decision for me was huge. And also the soccer success that they have and the reputation is massive. So FGCU was a big playing team when I was getting recruited, and that was just huge for me. So I think the school and making sure that your parents are kind of on board and what they're thinking. I mean, you don't necessarily have to go with what they're saying or what they think, but at least having that conversations with them, and then just making sure it's the style of play you want. Because if you're a footballer and you want to play, and you end up going to a school just because you like the school and the team's like a kickball team, which a lot of college soccer teams are, then you're not really going to enjoy it too much. So I just kind of doing the research, watching a game or two here and there, just really like knowing how you want to play, what type of player you are, and how they play.
100%. Yeah, no, I think that's great advice for younger guys and girls listening on making that decision. Was it hard to go, basically coast to coast there, away from your family?
Yeah, I would say yeah. At first, we moved a lot, so the moving part wasn't a big issue for me. It was mostly just being away from them, which was hard. The first semester, I actually went for the summer, so the summer was hard, being away from them, not having a full team, just like 3 or 4 of us, just training and running every day. But it was hard to be away from them at the same time. But like you're in Florida, you're finally, like I'm out in Florida, like I'm having a great time. I love the school, love the soccer. So I think loving where I was at was balancing out the like missing my family a lot.
Yeah, and I have a theory with that too. Like when you're the one that's away from home, those family members or whatever aren't a part of your daily life in Florida. They never were, so it like doesn't feel as weird as when you're the one at home where they were a part of that type of life.
Yeah.
That's just my theory. It might be wrong. We'll see. But no, man, I appreciate you taking time to share your insight. I like, we've had obviously all different places of where you're at in the professional career, but I like interviewing young guys because for the university aspect, you're closer to it. You remember it a little bit better. Some of the guys that are in their 30s, obviously it's been a while, and university has changed a lot of even just how they recruit and everything. So
Yeah.
I appreciate your insight. I'm excited to see you this year on the field, hoping that you continue to improve, find even more consistency, and can get that MLS call up. So thank you for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right,
I had to go get some Starbucks, by the way.
I like it.
Coffee maker.
I like it. Way to represent. All right, man. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.